Adesewa's success had reached new heights. Her business was thriving, and she had earned respect and admiration from people in the city. It felt like she was finally where she belonged, standing strong as a leader and a powerful businesswoman. But her brother's resentment still lingered. They had failed in their own ventures, and they could not understand how Adesewa, the girl they had always dismissed, had managed to outshine them. Oladayo, Olatunde, and Akinwumi couldn't help but feel jealous that Adesewa was now leading the family business, a position they had always believed was meant for them. Adesewa knew she had to be careful. Though she had defeated her brother's schemes before, she sensed that their jealousy had not disappeared. As she worked late in her office one evening, a feeling of unease settled over her. There was something in the air, a shift she couldn't explain. What she didn't know was that an even bigger threat was looming, one that came from her past. Someone she had long forgotten was about to step into her life and try to bring everything crashing down. One afternoon, something unexpected happened. Adesewa had been working hard on a major deal that could take her business to new heights, a partnership with a powerful company in the city. The contract had been almost finalized, and all that was left was a formal signing at an event that evening. But just hours before the event, Adesewa received devastating news. The company she was about to partner with had pulled out of the deal without explanation. Her heart sank as she stared at the phone in disbelief. This deal was supposed to be a turning point for her company, and now it was gone. Her assistant handed her a copy of an anonymous email that had been circulated to several of her clients. The email accused her of engaging in unethical practices, claiming that her business was built on lies and manipulation. It was a complete fabrication, but the damage was done. Clients were cancelling meetings, and her phone buzzed non-stop with worried calls from business partners who were starting to believe the rumours. Adesewa was crushed. She couldn't understand how things had spiralled out of control so quickly. She sat at her desk, her mind racing with questions. Who could be behind this? Who would want to see her fail so badly? Her heart told her to keep going, to keep fighting, but the weight of the sudden fall felt unbearable. She had worked so hard to build her business and prove herself. Could this be the end? Later that evening, as she reviewed the situation with a heavy heart, her assistant interrupted her thoughts. "You need to see this," he said, holding out his phone. Adesewa took the phone and watched a live-streamed video from a rival business conference happening at the same time as her event. And there she was, Ifeoluwa. She stood on stage, smiling confidently, as she announced a major new business deal that mirrored the one Adesewa had been negotiating. The crowd cheered, not knowing that the deal Ifeoluwa had secured was the one that had slipped from Adesewa's grasp. In that moment, everything clicked. The rumours, the sabotage, the sudden collapse of her deal, it had all been orchestrated by Ifeoluwa, the same Ifeoluwa who had once been her classmate, the same girl who had harboured jealousy toward her for years. Adesewa felt anger rise in her chest. Ifeoluwa had stolen her deal, spread lies about her, and tried to destroy everything she had worked for. But Adesewa wasn't one to give up. This betrayal only fueled her determination to fight back, and she knew she had to act fast. Adesewa couldn't sleep that night. Her mind raced with thoughts of Ifeoluwa, her old classmate who had reappeared out of nowhere, stealing her deal and tarnishing her name in the business world. The betrayal felt personal, more than just a business rivalry. It was a calculated attack designed to bring her down completely. The next morning, Adesewa gathered her team. They were nervous, sensing the tension in the air, but they trusted her leadership. She began laying out a plan to restore her company's reputation and undo the damage Ifeoluwa had caused. "We need to find out exactly how Ifeoluwa pulled this off," Adesewa said firmly. "I want a full investigation into every rumour, every lie, and how she managed to secure our deal." Her assistant nodded, already making calls. But as they began to dig deeper, it became clear that Ifeoluwa's sabotage was more extensive than they had imagined. She had been working behind the scenes for months, using her connections to undermine Adesewa's relationships with key clients and partners. Even worse, Adesewa's brothers had been hearing these rumours and were quietly spreading them further. Oladayo, Olatunde and Akinwumi, though still angry with Adesewa's success, hadn't realised they were being manipulated by Ifeoluwa, who had cleverly used their jealousy to her advantage. Adesewa felt a deep sense of betrayal, not just from Ifeoluwa, but from her own brothers. She had tried to make peace with them after taking over the family business, but it was clear that their resentment had never fully gone away. Now, their actions were putting her entire company at risk. Adesewa knew she couldn't stay silent any longer. If her brothers were unknowingly helping Ifeoluwa destroy her, she had to confront them. That evening, she gathered Oladayo, Olatunde, and Akinwumi at the family's old estate. The tension was palpable as they sat around the dining table, avoiding eye contact. Adesewa stood at the head of the table, her voice calm but filled with emotion. "Why?" she asked, her voice breaking the silence. "Why would you help someone like Ifeoluwa, who is trying to tear me down?" Oladayo shifted uncomfortably. "What are you talking about?" Adesewa handed them the reports her team had gathered. It detailed Ifeoluwa's manipulation, how she had fed their jealousy and used their bitterness to spread rumours that were now threatening everything Adesewa had built. Akinwumi, the youngest of the brothers, looked at the papers with wide eyes. "I didn't know," he muttered, guilt washing over him. I thought the things people were saying about you were true." Olatunde, always more calculating, leaned back in his chair. "I knew Ifeoluwa was involved, but I didn't think it would go this far. I didn't know she was trying to destroy the business." Adesewa's eyes filled with tears. "You should have asked me. You should have come to me. Instead, you believed lies because they suited what you wanted to think of me." The brothers sat in silence, their faces reflecting a mix of guilt and shame. They realised that their actions had played into Ifeoluwa's hands, and now they had endangered the family's legacy. After the confrontation, Adesewa left her brothers to reflect on their choices. She had no time to dwell on their regrets. She had a business to save. But she wasn't going to do it alone. Despite her pain, she knew that if they were truly sorry, her brothers could help her take down Ifeoluwa. The next morning, Olatunde and Akinwumi came to her office. They were subdued, but there was determination in their eyes. "We want to make this right," Olatunde said quietly. "We'll help you take her down." Adesewa hesitated, unsure if she could trust them. But then she remembered the lessons her mother, Omawumi, had taught her. Sometimes strength comes from knowing when to trust again, even when it's hard. "Fine," Adesewa replied, crossing her arms. "But this is on my terms. We don't play dirty like Ifeoluwa. We do this the right way." Her brothers nodded in agreement. They knew they owed her, and they were willing to follow her lead. With her brothers now on her side, Adesewa began her counterattack against Ifeoluwa. She and her team worked tirelessly to restore the company's reputation, contacting clients personally and proving that the rumours were false. Meanwhile, Olatunde and Akinwumi used their connections to gather information about Ifeoluwa's next moves. They discovered that Ifeoluwa was planning to swoop in on another one of Adesewa's key deals, this time a partnership that could make or break her company's future. Adesewa knew she had to act fast. She couldn't afford to lose another deal to Ifeoluwa, and this time she was ready. She called a meeting with the potential partner, presenting her case with confidence and transparency, revealing the truth about the rumours and showing the strength of her business. It worked. The company saw through Ifeoluwa's lies and chose to stay with Adesewa. But Ifeoluwa wasn't going to give up easily. She had one last trick up her sleeve, and Adesewa knew that the final battle was just beginning. Ifeoluwa, seething with rage, watched as her plan began to unravel. Adesewa's ability to restore trust in her company was swift and effective, but Ifeoluwa wasn't finished yet. She had one final move to make, one that could either destroy Adesewa or backfire disastrously. In a bold and desperate act, Ifeoluwa decided to leak false documents to the media, claiming that Adesewa had been involved in illegal business practices. The documents looked real enough to cause suspicion, and Ifeoluwa knew that if the media picked up the story, Adesewa's reputation would be in serious jeopardy. Within hours, the news spread like wildfire. Headlines flashed across business news channels, and social media buzzed with rumours of corruption in Adesewa's company. It felt like a storm was crashing over everything Adesewa had worked so hard to build. Adesewa's phone rang off the hook with concerned calls from business partners and friends. Her stomach churned as she watched the chaos unfold. This was worse than anything Ifeoluwa had done before. It wasn't just business, it was personal. If this continued, her name could be ruined forever. But Adesewa wasn't one to panic. She took a deep breath and gathered her team, knowing that the truth would be her greatest weapon. Adesewa knew that the only way to clear her name was to expose the truth behind Ifeoluwa's forged documents. Her brothers, Olatunde and Akinwumi, were ready to help. They had contacts in the media and legal fields that could assist in proving the documents were fake. While Olatunde worked behind the scenes to track down the source of the leaked documents, Akinwumi reached out to his legal advisors to prepare a defense in case the issue escalated further. Together, they formed a plan to expose Ifeoluwa's lies once and for all. Adesewa, determined to stay ahead of the storm, held a press conference. She stood in front of flashing cameras and skeptical reporters, speaking with the same calm confidence that had earned her the respect of so many. "These accusations against me are completely false," she declared. "We have proof that the documents circulating in the media are forged, and I assure you the truth will come to light." Her statement was bold, but she knew the battle wasn't over yet. Ifeoluwa still had influence, and it was only a matter of time before she would strike back. Olatunde's investigation into the false documents led him to a critical discovery. He uncovered an email trail that connected Ifeoluwa to the forged documents. It turned out she had hired someone to create the fake files and had used her connections to spread them to the media. With this evidence in hand, Adesewa and her team knew they had everything they needed to bring Ifeoluwa down. They arranged for a meeting with key media outlets and influential figures in the business world, determined to clear Adesewa's name once and for all. During the meeting, Adesewa and her team presented the undeniable evidence of Ifeoluwa's deception. The room buzzed with shock as the truth came out. Ifeoluwa had orchestrated a campaign of lies, manipulation, and sabotage, all fueled by her long-standing jealousy of Adesewa. The media quickly turned on Ifeoluwa. What had once been rumours about Adesewa's integrity now became stories of Ifeoluwa's betrayal and downfall. The tide had finally turned in Adesewa's favour. News of Ifeoluwa's treachery spread fast. Within days, her business started to crumble as clients withdrew and investors pulled out. Her reputation was beyond repair, and the very lies she had crafted to destroy Adesewa now led to her own undoing. Adesewa watched as the woman who had once been her rival fell from grace. But instead of feeling triumph, Adesewa felt a deep sense of relief. She had survived Ifeoluwa's attack, but more importantly, she had done so with integrity. One morning, as she stood by her office window overlooking the bustling city below, Adesewa received an unexpected message. An apology from Ifeoluwa. It was short, simple, and filled with regret. Ifeoluwa admitted that her hatred and envy had driven her to terrible decisions, but the damage was already done. Adesewa sighed as she read the message. She wasn't one to hold grudges, but she also knew that some wounds took time to heal. Ifeoluwa had lost everything, and Adesewa was left to rebuild, stronger than before. With Ifeoluwa out of the picture, Adesewa shifted her focus to restoring her business. Her team had worked tirelessly to protect the company during the chaos, and now it was time to rebuild the trust that had been shaken. Adesewa spent time personally reaching out to her clients, thanking them for their loyalty, and reassuring them of the company's strength and vision for the future. Slowly, the cracks that Ifeoluwa had created began to heal, and business resumed its upward trajectory. Meanwhile, her brothers, Olatunde and Akinwumi, had proven their loyalty during the crisis. Though their relationship with Adesewa had been rocky in the past, they had come through for her when she needed them the most. It wasn't easy, but Adesewa knew that healing her family would take time and patience. As for Oladayo, he remained distant, ashamed of his earlier actions and unsure how to make amends. But Adesewa had learned to forgive. Not forget, but forgive. And she hoped that one day, Oladayo would find a way to reconcile with her. One evening, as Adesewa was reviewing documents in her office, she heard a knock at her door. It was Oladayo. He stood in the doorway, looking more humble than she had ever seen him. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "I didn't believe in you when I should have. I let my jealousy get the better of me, and I see now how wrong I was." Adesewa looked at him for a moment, feeling a mix of emotions. She had always wanted her brothers to be proud of her, to accept her as part of the family. Oladayo's words weren't enough to erase the past, but they were a start. "I forgive you," Adesewa said quietly, her voice filled with both sadness and hope. "But it's going to take time to rebuild trust." Oladayo nodded, understanding. For the first time in a long time, the weight of resentment between them began to lift. They both knew that healing wouldn't happen overnight, but at least they were moving in the right direction. Months passed, and Adesewa's business continued to thrive. The lessons she had learned from her mother, Omowumi, had guided her through the toughest challenges, and she emerged stronger than ever. Her relationship with her brothers had improved, though it still had its ups and downs. Olatunde and Akinwumi remained by her side, helping to expand the family business. Oladayo, though still rebuilding trust, was trying to find his place within the family again. Adesewa felt a sense of peace that she hadn't felt in years. She had faced betrayal, jealousy, and sabotage, yet she had stood her ground. And now, as she looked forward to the future, she knew that there was nothing she couldn't handle. With the family business back on track, Adesewa began to look at new opportunities. She had always dreamed of expanding beyond the city, and now, with her brother's support, she felt ready to take that step. Together, they began planning for the next phase of growth, opening new branches, exploring international partnerships, and taking on new industries. Adesewa's vision for the future was ambitious, but she knew that with hard work, anything was possible. As they worked late into the night, discussing plans for the future, Adesewa felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what she had always wanted, not just success, but a sense of belonging and purpose. She was no longer the outsider fighting for acceptance. She was the leader of the family, and her brothers were finally standing with her. Years later, as Adesewa stood on the balcony of her office, overlooking the city she had come to know so well, she thought about how far she had come. She thought of her parents, especially her mother, Omowumi, and how proud she would have been to see the woman Adesewa had become. Her business was now a leader in multiple industries, her family had healed, and she had earned the respect of everyone who once doubted her. Adesewa smiled as she reflected on her journey, the struggles, the betrayals, the victories. Each moment had shaped her into who she was today, strong, determined, and unshakable. And as she looked out at the horizon, she knew that her story was far from over. The future was bright, filled with endless possibilities, and Adesewa was ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. For she had not only reclaimed her legacy, she had built something even greater that nothing could take that away from her. And for the first time in her life, she felt truly at peace.